Half a major decision today is putting Nippon Steel acquisition of U.S. Steel one step closer to fruition. The Japan-based company has been looking to purchase U.S. Steel for $14 billion. In addition to their plants nationwide, the deal would include Mintak and Keetac mines on the Iron Range. Today, the Board of Arbitration ruled that Nippon Steel has satisfied all conditions of the successorship clause of its basic labor agreement with the United Steelworkers Union. The ruling comes after the union filed a series of grievances back in January, with the board hearing from both the union and U.S. Steel back in August. They say Nippon has provided reasonable assurances to honor commitments currently in place between U.S. Steel and union workers. And while this ruling is a step toward the purchase going through, the companies still need to go through that regulatory review, which leaders hope to have completed by the end of the year. The United Steelworkers Union is responding to today's news. In a statement, they said they strenuously disagree with today's result, adding while they are disappointed, it does not change their opposition to the deal or their resolve to fight for the jobs and communities that hang in the balance of this transaction. This deal has not been without critics outside of the union. It was reported back in September that, or earlier this month rather, that President Joe Biden is preparing to formally block that deal, but no action has been taken yet. We did reach out to our local, state, and federal lawmakers about today's decision. However, we did not hear back by news time. Let's get to the weather.